On today's episode, we're going to review Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling with City Circuit Fukuoka performance that took place back on June 26th. But as you know, today is July 1st. It's Friday, and we all know what that means. That means we got AEW Rampage with the Battle Royal, who will be determining the face John Moxley for the AEW Interim World Championship. And of course, we're going to see who levels up in NXT Level Up, and we cannot forget Impact Wrestling against all odds. And also, we're going to see what is going on in the world of pro wrestling on our news updates. So, let's get ready with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with our opening match, Kaya Toribami taking on, of course, Moka Miyamoto. Now, as you all know, recently, Kaya had a very interesting first one against Arisu Endo. That was a bit of an upset, but at the same time, a great win for her. But however, can she keep up with that momentum against Moka Miyamoto? That is a very interesting story. Now, I have to say the match was pretty good, but however, I felt because Moka has a much better experience than Toribami. Unfortunately, she ended up putting Kaya in a submission, forcing her to tap out. Now, she may have had her first win on two different occasions, a tag match and a singles match, but we know that Kaya will get another good win. All she needs to do is build up a little momentum for that. Our next match, we got Arisu Endo taking on Hyper Misao. Now, Arisu Endo, I've seen her for quite some time, how much she has grown up. You not to mention with being in a good tag team like the Daisy Monkey with Suzumi. Hyper Misao, we know she's a veteran. We know she is a very unorthodox wrestler, but I was like very impressed with this match. But however, it ended with Hyper Misao picking up a very good victory with a pinfall. 1, 2, 3, it's over. Next up, we got tag team action. We got Aruna Neko teaming up with Zumi, taking on Free Wi-Fi, Naoki Kuda, and Hikari Noa. Now, as you know, these two ladies are basically a bit more aggressive group than you possibly imagine. As you know, if you guys have been aware of this, Hikari Noa, she has a thing for death matches. But even though their death matches are not allowed in Tokyo Joshi Pro, you can tell by the attitude. But however, it was in fact Hikari Noa who picked up the victory onto Neko, giving her 1, 2, 3, it's over. Next up, we got a three-way match. We got Raku, Yuka Kimifuku, and the White Dragon, Rika Tatsumi. Now, as you all know, Raku, she is a very different type of wrestler. She likes to play little games. We know that Yuki Kamifuku, she is a very powerhouse, not to mention her long legs is pretty deadly. And of course, we know Rika Tatsumi, the way she is as a former tag champion and a former Princess champion. But however, it was Rika who applied the flying hip attack. They gave her the win. 1, 2, 3, it's done. Next up, we got a 6-person tag match. We got Yuki Arai teaming up with Pam Arijuku and Miyu Watanabe to take on Mahiro Kiru and the Magical Sugar Rabbits, Mizuki and Yuka Sakazaki. Now, we all know that Mizuki and Yuka Sakazaki are an awesome tag team. They have been on a roll ever since becoming tag team champions. But however, we know there's a lot of things. As you know, Mahiro Kiri had good wins here and there. As for the other members like Miyu Watanabe, we know she's a powerhouse. We know that Yuki is challenging for the tag titles when Saki-sama returns. But In this case, it was Yuka who picked up the victory on this one, sending a clear message to her upcoming challengers that they're not getting these tag titles. And finally, our main event, everyone's favorite, Maki Itoh and Miyu Yamashita taking on Yuki, Inoue, and our current princess champion, Shoka Nakajima. I have to say it was a pretty good match because it was a unique differently. As you know, Yuki is developing her wrestling craft as a singles competitor, but for this particular day, she had to team up with Shoka. It was a pretty good team, but however, you cannot deny the chemistry that both Maki and Miyu Yamashita has developed for quite some time. They are like became rivals, then partners. That is something you cannot underestimate. But not to mention, you cannot underestimate Yamashita, who is an amazing kick striker that allows her to pick up the victory. 1, 2, 3. Maki Itoh and Miyu Yamashita picked up the victory. So I have to say it was a pretty good show. Hopefully we'll see the next one. As you know, the next big event will be taking place on July 9th. Suzumi will be teaming up with Mei Shiruga, while Riho, our very first AEW Women's Champion, will team up with Arizu Endo, which is Suzumi's tag team partner. So that's going to be very interesting. So we'll be seeing what happened when we get there. But as for now, let's just move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Royal Rampage. Now, this is a unique thing that took place. Now, opening match is the Royal Rampage. Now, as you know, whenever we see Rampage, they actually record this during the day of Dynamite. Now, this is something not new for the people who've been aware. However, this Royal Rampage was different. They divided the wrestlers and the ring in half. Basically, if you guys know, there was 2 rings. Ring 1 was known as Red Ring, and of course, Ring 2 will be blue. So they divided the wrestlers in half. Now, I completely lost who was in there, but I can tell you who participated. We have the Butcher and the Blade, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Hangman Page, who else? Darby Allin, Swerve, and Keith Lee. Who else? Oh yeah, Brody Lee. I'm trying to remember who else. Dante Martin was in it. But however, the one person that really showed who it was. Now, and Konosuke Takeshita was there too. However, this match was only to determine who will face Jon Moxley for the AEW interim title until CM Punk returns, and then we'll have a unification. However, this match went in favor of Brody King, who took out Darby Allin. Name it. Now, this is going to be a very interesting match between Jon Moxley and Brody King. So I'm sure Moxley will be paying attention to what's been going on. Now, as you know, whenever we see Hook, he's a man of few words. Basically, he doesn't say much. He just goes with the flow. So basically, he said some things, cannot recall what it was, but he means business. Now, our next match, we have Bushimon of Chaos, consistent of Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto, to take on the Young Bucks. Now, this is an eliminator match. If Bushimon wins, they get a shot of the AEW World Tag Team Championship. That is something we know for a fact has been aware of. Now, this match was pretty good. There was a lot of teamwork in this particular match we always seen. However, in this particular case, it was the Young Bucks that walked out as the victors when they applied, of course, the Meltzer driver onto Yoshihashi. 1, 2, 3, it is over. Now, our final match, our main event, is Nyla Rose along with Marina Shafir to take on Toni Storm. Now, as you know, Toni Storm had a hell of a match at Forbidden Door against Thunder Rosa, but now Nyla Rose feels that Toni Storm is standing in her way, knowing that she will have an opportunity to go for the AEW Women's Championship. That is something that's been clear. However, in this particular match, we all know the X factor in this is Marina Shafir on the side of Nyla Rose. However, Toni Storm did everything exactly what she did. However, there were moments, of course, when Marina Shafir gets involved. Toni Storm tries to fight it off, but however, it went into a direction where Toni Storm picked up the victory. However, Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose wanted to give her a beatdown, but however, Thunder Rosa shows up to save the day. Now, it's unclear exactly how this is going to go. Now, those are saying we could see an actual team up. I think Excalibur is calling them the Thunderstorm. That should be a very catchy name for them if they do a tag team, women's tag team. I know there's been talk they want to do that, but we'll see what happens when that day comes. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, NXT Level Up. So let's see who levels up now. As you know, recently we've been seeing with the D'Angelo family has now shortened with the demise of Two Dimes. However, now we get to see what Channing Stacks Lorenzo, I think this is his name, Lorenzo would do against a guy named Hank Walker. Now, not much about this guy was told, but from what the commentator says, this guy was a football player or sorts. I have to say this one was a very interesting dynamic match. Now, Two Dimes seems more like a wrestler who is more of a street wrestler. Basically comes from the streets, try to play street smarts. You look at a guy who's big and athletic, that sort of thing plays out in its own way. So I think it shows us, that won't be any difference. However, the only factor is the Hank Walker is a more bigger individual. Now, there's the old saying, don't ever underestimate size. And that's exactly, I think, what many people might have thought about Two Dimes when he took out a Walker with a amazing pinfall, and boom, he won. Now, our next match, we have Amari Miller. So it's been a while since we've seen her. She takes on Sloane Jacobs, who had made some headways. Now, Amari Miller is a fantastic wrestler. She's very impressive in every way. So there was not a lot you can do about what you can say. Don't remember the last time I saw her. I know she made one appearance of she had appeared before, but I just don't remember the last time. But it was great. She was able to pick up a huge victory on this one. As for Sloane Jacobs, well, she did pretty well, but Amari Miller was the one who walked out as the victor. Now, our main event, we have Javier Bernal taking on Duke Hudson. Now, Duke Hudson is coming off from a very disappointing loss against Braun Breaker. As you know, he put the title on the line, and of course, Duke Hudson did not win. So I think this is a chance for him to get back on a high horse. And much of this, I have to say, Javier Bernal, who has won maybe one or two matches, if he had able to pick up a huge victory, this would put him in the conversation for a championship match. That is something that can be delivered. But however, Duke Hudson picked up the victory on this one, giving him the win. So there is chances that maybe Duke Hudson will get back in the title hunt for the NXT Championship. So I think that's pretty much it what we got with NXT Level Up. I believe it's time for Impact Wrestling Against All Odds. Okay, so it's Impact Wrestling Against All Odds. It opened up, of course, with Bullet Club, Chris Bay teaming up with Ace Austin, taking on the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Now, keep in mind, not too long ago, Ace Austin lost to one of the members of the Machine Guns. I believe it was Chris Sabin. So that kind of put him in the predicament saying, I want revenge on this match. But I have to say, it was a pretty good match, because these two guys, these four competitors, they all have X Division capacity, what they are capable of. But I think it took a bit of a while. As you know, whenever one of them does a finisher, it interrupts it. But luckily, Chris Sabin was able to pull off the cradle drive onto Ace Austin, giving them the victory. So I thought, what a great match for an opener. Now, our next match is Mia Yim and Mickie James taking on Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green. As you know, Purrazzo and Green had their distasteful taste of Mickie James for a long time. As you know, Deonna Purrazzo shows disrespect to Mickie James from time to time again. Chelsea Green who used to be friends with her. I thought this match shows like, okay, we can see a new dynamic with Chelsea and Diana. But however, it was the teamwork that they showed when they able to isolate Mia Yim from Mickie James to win the match. However, these two may be compatible to obtain the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Now, speaking of championships, we have our very first one, X Division Championship. Mike Bailey puts his X Division title on the line against the former X Division champion, Trey Miguel. I thought this match was unbelievably good, as you know, this one. But one thing it did played out in this match, Trey Miguel was able to hurt Mike Bailey from applying the lethal weapon, his finisher. So it kind of was a smart move. But however, somehow, some way, Mike Bailey was able to adapt into a new move, knowing that he cannot pull off the lethal weapon, and it worked, giving him the advantage to retain the title. Now, our next match is the Knockouts Tag Team titles. We have Tenille Dashwood with Giselle Shaw, alongside with Madison Rayne, to take on Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. Now, keep in mind, this was a match where, of course, the Influence do have a title opportunity to regain these titles. But however, Madison Rayne is out for a while due to the broken nose. But however, they thought maybe the Giselle Shaw was in fact the X Factor to retain the titles. But somehow it was Taya Valkyrie that obtained these titles and was able to retain it. But however, they received a beatdown from the Influence and Giselle Shaw. So basically, Havoc did not show up. Nobody knows where she is. So basically, it ended in a way where they just got laid waste in the ring. However, Giselle Shaw's nightmare returned again when, as you know, it may have heard, Masha Slamovich hand over an envelope with a picture of Alicia with red paint, meaning that she's going to kill you. This time, she handed over a similar to Tenille Dashwood. Now, our next match is Honor No More. As you know, they were complaining about the last time they cheat. This time they faced a very unique team, which is Heath, the America's Most Wanted, reunited after 15 years, and Good Brothers. I thought this match was pretty awesome. However, I think this one will tell a different story with Honor No More. Because the one thing that makes clear is what the hell was PCO doing? I don't know if he botched it or did not pay attention what he was going to do. So it gave the advantage for Good Brothers and America's Most Wanted and Heath to pick up the victory thanks to the finisher by the America's Most Wanted. It was awesome. I think it was great. However, I believe that that Honor No More will be throwing repercussions against PCO. Now, before our next match, we had Raven, who made his appearance in the commentary section. As you know, we had the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match between Sami Callihan and Moose. The match was insane, bloody. Even, of course, Raven said that Sami played a little game with it, like trying to refurbish it in his own way. And I thought it was like, okay, that's an interesting thing. But I thought it was crazy. There was like a lot of things that were fun that were used. The weapons, all that. However, things would have gone Sami Callihan's way until Steve Maclin shows up, low-blowed him, and whacked him out. However, it's still unclear what is Steve Maclin doing. What was his business being with Sami? Now, we know that the Steve Maclin teamed up with Moose not too long ago. Or does he just wants to do whatever he wants? I don't know. It makes no sense, but we'll see. Now, in an interview with Heath, he sets out that even though they won the match, he's not done with Honor No More. He wants to hurt them bad for what they did to Rhino. We don't know if that's a smart move or not, but we got to pay attention to what's going to take place in that time. So we'll see. Now, our next match is the Knockouts Championship. We have Tasha Steelz, the former champion, along with Savannah Evans, taking on Jordynne Grace. I thought this match was interesting. As you know, Tasha Steelz, who has always been saying that she is a well-deserving champion because of her muscle, Savannah Evans. Now, that was the big mistake happening, but Grace was smart enough to use Tasha Steelz onto Evans to knock her out. but he did give her time to pull off her finisher. The Grace Driver, 1, 2, 3, retained the title. Now our next match is our main event, the Impact World title. We have Joe Dorian, who's undefeated, taking on Josh Alexander. I thought this match was insane, brutal. Joe Dorian, who's the most biggest, scary guy in the business, this guy, nothing fazed him. But I was a bit of surprise near the end, where of course Josh Alexander pulled off the C4 spike. 1, 2, 3, retained the title. So that was great. I'm like so impressed with that. So basically now Dorian does have a loss record, so we can be happy about it. So I think that's pretty much it for all the reviews. I believe it's time for some news updates. Okay, news updates. You may have heard what's been going on recently. Io Shirai, they're saying that she has not signed a new deal with WWE and NXT, so her contract will be will be done by the end of next month. Now, some of you WWE fans don't want that. I get it, but the situation is she wants to. There's been speculation saying, tweeting on social media, whatever, that she wants to go back to Japan. Now, the only difference is unlike Kairi, who left during mid-contract and ended up in Japan working for them as part of their Japanese division, it's a little different. Now, there are those who are speculating that she could return to Stardom. Now, years ago, Stardom, when they were purchased by Bushiroad, they were determined to buy back Io Shirai, but it did not happen. Now, the obvious question is with Io Shirai, will she take back the leadership of Queen's Quest if she goes back to Stardom? That is an obvious question. That's a question. I will talk about that on my podcast on this coming Wednesday, because I feel that there's a lot of unanswered questions about that. But we'll see. Now, speaking of the Yoshi wrestlers, GLEAT has announced a brand new competitor named Maya Fukuda. Don't know much about her, but I'm sure we will see her down the line. She made her appearance on the latest GLEAT event for GLEAT version 3. I will see that at the next time. Now, as speaking more on the Yoshi Wrestling side, basically, as you guys know, NOMADs are doing Volume 2. Now, there have been wrestlers they brought back from the previous event, Volume 1. Apparently, they brought back Ryu Mizunami, Makoto, Kaho Kobayashi, and now they bring in Kakeru Sekiguchi. Now, Sekiguchi, this is her first time being here. It's kind of exciting. Now, for you Ice Ribbon fanatics, Yuuki Mashiro will be out of action for quite some time, taking a break. The reason is that she complained with some discomfort in her fingers. What they discovered on the diagnosis, that she suffered a surface fracture on her arm that inflamed. So basically, it looks like it's kind of serious, but hopefully she returns with speedy recovery. Now, as you know, Prestige had a great time when the Yoshi wrestlers from Tokyo Joshi Pro made their presence. I'm talking about Miyu Yamashita and Maki Itoh. Now it's been announced by Prestige that Maki Itoh will return to prominence on September 17th for their perseverance on the 17th of September. However, no opponent has been announced yet. So I'm kind of happy. I'm curious. I hope I get to see that. But we'll see what happens then. So I believe that is it for now. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I will be doing a 2 review episode. Basically, we have Choco Pro and GLEAT on this one. I'm excited. I hope everybody is. I haven't decided what I'm going to do for the next one. I'll keep that as a surprise for everyone when the day comes. We do know we did have a Stardom event that took place on July 2nd. So I won't be able to see that maybe within the next couple of days. Hopefully it's uploaded. Friendly reminder, I mentioned this many times over with everyone about the link where I watch pro wrestling. If you guys have the link that says watchprowrestling.live, friendly reminder, it's now been changed to watchprowrestling.org. Now, I was a bit surprised it happened this morning, so we'll see what happens then. But I don't know, it was kind of weird. Not gonna make a too fuss of it, but if anybody who's new to the channel were interested in that, you can watch many of the wrestling shows on watchprowrestling.org. So check it out. So I think that's pretty much it for now. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day.